Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's going on, guys? Now, word to my brethren in, let me think of a city. Chicago, Illinois. Shout out to Chicago, Illinois. Now, Manny Pacquiao, he's fighting Jeff Horn July 2nd. Gonna be not the fight so much, but probably to the event, the spectacle, fighting in front of 55,000 people at the Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, New Zealand. Going to be a very, very interesting affair against the 2012 Olympian and Australian Jeff Horn, 16-0-1 with 11 knockouts. Recently got a good win against Randall Bailey. But, Manny's going to be a huge favorite, and as he should. Jeff Horn is coming into this fight relatively unknown by many, relatively untested. And he's gonna get in the ring in there with arguably the number one welterweight in the world. I think for me, when I look at the welterweight division, and I know people are gonna disagree with me. I know there's gonna be so many disagreements with the statement I'm gonna make, but I truly believe when it comes to 147, the two best fighters in the division are Manny Pacquiao and Kell Brook, and then there's everybody else. Manny Pacquiao, because obviously of what he did just last year. He had a great year last year. Freaking had a legitimate claim for Fighter of the Year. He beat Timothy Bradley more decisively than ever, and then schooled Jesse Vargas. So then there's that, and then what he did in the past, obviously, and then Kell Brook, because of Kell Brook is, out of all the guys in the division, he's the only one that really, and I know people are gonna say Keith Thurman beat Porter and he beat Garcia, but he lost to Porter, in my opinion. I mean, obviously the Garcia fight was more clear. Even though after the fight, I said on my record, I thought he lost to Garcia as well. But that's probably Garcia beating Thurman is probably a more asinine claim than Porter beating Thurman, because I thought Porter really did truly beat Thurman. He was backing him up. He was beating the living hell out of him in some of those rounds. And I think just the fact that Al Haymon and PBC have bigger plans for Thurman is the reason he got the decision. I don't think he beat Sean Porter. With all that being taken into account, to me, Kell Brook is the best, because you look at him, and people say, oh, he fights bums, but he's been, no matter who you put in front of him, whether it be Sean Porter, or whether it be, freaking Jojo Dan, Frankie Gavin, he goes in there and he pieces those dudes up, and he never at all fights down to his level of opposition. And, even though he got pieced up by Golovkin, he had his moments in that fight. So I think it's going to be Earl Spence, and you guys will see what I'm saying later on, but as far as this fight with Jeff Horn goes, Manny Pacquiao, it's been quite some time since Manny Pacquiao had a knockout of any sort. I believe you'd have to go all the way back to 2009 when he fought Miguel Cotto. I remember that fight very well. That was 2009. I was living in New Hampshire, my uncles and stuff. I was a freshman in high school, real youngin at that time. And I remember that fight really well. But so Manny Pacquiao has knocked anybody else since I was a freshman in high school. I'm not to inform you guys, I've been out of high school for 4 years, so it's been a while. Freddie Roach is making a claim saying that Manny Pacquiao's knockout streak is going to come to an end, and I've heard him say this a couple times before. I think he might even said this against Algieri, and he couldn't get it done against Algieri, so we'll see what happens. But here's what Freddie Roach said in regards to that. He said, I quote, Manny hasn't scored a knockout in a long time, and it's time that changed. He is working his ass off for this fight, and we will be keeping his world title. Manny doesn't underestimate anyone. He knows upsets can happen in boxing, and that Horn is a good puncher. But we are prepared for anything. No fighter in the world has Manny's work ethic. He runs for an hour in the morning. He does 65 rounds of training in the gym every day. And he loves nothing more than entertaining big crowds. The bigger the crowd, the more he likes it. There might be 55,000 people in that stadium cheering for Horn, but that will encourage Manny to put on the best show he can. He'll be the very best he can be for this fight, because we know Jeff Horn will be at his best too. There are some big fights upcoming for Manny in the near future, and Jeff Horn is just the kind of opponent Manny needs to prepare for those. We're going for the knockout. Horn is a strong guy, a counterpuncher, but we're coming up with the game plan to make sure Manny Pacquiao flies home still with that world title belt in his possession. So there you have it. Freddie Roach being Freddie Roach, talking highly of his fighters. But this is a fight where if he is going to get a knockout, he's got to make that statement. Because to my knowledge, and I'm just saying this based off of my knowledge, I don't think Manny Pacquiao's ever had a knockout at the 147-pound limit. I know he's had knockouts at some of the catch weights, but never the 147-pound limit. So that's something to take note of. As far as him fighting in front of bigger stadiums and fighting better in bigger stadiums, that's a fact. Look at his fights with Margarito and Clottey and those guys, when those guys were at the top of the division. Those are some of the best performances ever. Personally, my favorite performance Manny Pacquiao ever had was against Margarito at Cowboy Stadium, when he was just beating his ass. Like, Margarito's this tall, and Pacquiao's this tall, and Manny just throwing combination to combination, hurting the guy, and got the stoppage later on in the fight. So it was, it's not far fetched that Manny Pacquiao could feed off that energy and have another virtuoso performance, and I'm looking for that. I think if you're Manny Pacquiao, anything short of that is unacceptable against a fighter like Jeff Horn. And we know Jeff Horn's hungry. We know maybe he's being overlooked, and he has a lot of motivation coming into this fight. And he's in his hometown of Australia, in his home, area of Australia, Brisbane, big rugby stadium. So we'll see what happens. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think the KO streak ends for Manny Pacquiao? Personally, I think it does. I think it does. If Manny Pacquiao is Manny Pacquiao, if he's conditioned and he's ready for this fight, and the fact that he hasn't fought since November, so the time he fights, it means he'll be out of the ring for 7 months. Manny's been a professional for a long time, and he works like Freddie said, he works as hard as anybody, and has one of the most awkward styles that you really can't train for. And being that Jeff Horn is still very wet behind the ears, and there's a lot of pressure on him, there's no way you can train for a Manny Pacquiao fight. 17 fights in your career. I think he's getting stopped. I genuinely believe he's going to get stopped. So in this case, I'll have to agree with Freddie. But he says it's like every fight, so it's funny just to hear Freddie when he talks trash. But let me know what you guys think. Does a knockout drought for Manny Pacquiao end against Jeff Horn? Let me know in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys.